Black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm black, y'all, and I'm blacker than black, and I'm black, y'all. I'm blickety black, blacker than black, black.
Welcome back to the Black History Month movie review special, where I take a piece of black cinema that I've never seen before and watch and review it. But in this case, this is a movie that I've always seen bits and pieces of on TV, but never really watched from beginning to end. And that movie is Cool Runnings, which as of last October is celebrating its 30th anniversary. And I essentially wanted to revisit it and watch it from beginning to end for the first time this year for Black History Month. But this film follows four Jamaican men played by Leon Robinson, E.Doug, Malik Yoba, and Raleigh D. Lewis. All four men try to get into the Olympics via sprinting, but it fails, and so another way they try to get into it is through bobsledding, and they recruit this former bobsledder played by John Candy. They learn how to bobsled and get into the Olympics. And once they make it there, they go through a little adversity at first, but then as the film goes on, they just get better and better, and they truly represent Jamaica, themselves, and become great bobsledders. Now again, Cool Runnings, it was always one of those movies that I've always caught glimpses of on TV, whether it was on Disney Channel, HBO, Cinemax, TBS, TNT, you name it. But I've never watched it all the way through, and I was always aware that the late John Candy was in it. And in fact, I thought he got top billing, but watching it now, he really didn't get top billing. But I'm also aware of the following that this movie has, and rightfully so, because it is a pretty feel-good movie after you finish watching it. And so how do I feel about this movie? Having watched it for the first time all the way through, I quite enjoyed it. Now, do I think it's a great movie? Not necessarily, but it's a fun, enjoyable, feel-good movie. And I admire the film for how inspiring it is and how positive it is. The film does show that at first, the four men, they got pushed back from their own people in Jamaica at first. But then as the movie went along, more people in Jamaica started getting behind them, which definitely goes hand in hand with the Jamaican pride within this movie. And I also love the Jamaican vibes within this film. Now, from what I understand, this movie isn't based on a true story or based on real people. I kind of thought it was, but it's not. But it's definitely apparent by the comedic aspects within this film, because this movie is a bit funny, but the film also has its fair share of the dramatic moments in this film, but it is well balanced. But I also feel like the comedic aspects of this film also works once the Jamaicans, they get into a cold climate. And so essentially, they are fish out of water. But the other thing I admire about this movie is how they showcase bobsledding in this movie. And I tell you, after watching this, I'm like, I'm going to go bobsledding now too. It looks like fun because it essentially is like riding a roller coaster. But of course, I saw them crash a few times and I'm like, never mind. Of course, the cast in this movie. You got Leon Robinson. He's one of those actors that was around during the 90s, but then somewhere between then and the mid-2000s, he kind of dropped off the face of the earth. I mean, he was still working here and there, and he wasn't in any high-profile movies. In fact, I looked at his filmography, and the last high-profile movie he was in was Get Rich or Die Trying. And even then, I'm like, he was in Get Rich or Die Trying? But he was great in this movie. He was basically the leader of the team. E.Doug, he is hilarious in almost anything he is in. He is the highlight of this movie, and that's one thing I do remember, because he sings that song, "We are Jamaica's first bobsled team." I remember that more than anything. But one person I did not know was in this movie was Malik Yoba, who I know from the Why Did I Get Married movies. And he had one of my favorite lines in this movie when he's trying to prop up the fourth member of the team, because the fourth member of the team, he comes from a rich family, but he's a little shy, he's a little bit more educated, and then he props him up to stand up to somebody, and he tells him, "You know what I see when I look in the mirror? I see pride. I see power. I see a badass mother who don't take no shit from nobody." Malik Yoba was very young in that movie. Good Lord, time flies. And then there's John Candy, in which I gotta say, I haven't seen too many movies with John Candy. I mean, I've seen Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, Home Alone, Uncle Buck, and Vacation. I'm sure there's a couple other things I saw him in, but right now, this is the best role I've seen him in. And it's because he wasn't acting like a comedic buffoon in this movie. Like he was the straight man that was trying to bring this team together. And I actually felt like I was with an actual coach. And it's just sad because he did pass away months after this movie came out. And you can definitely tell with this movie, he had so much left to give as an actor if he was just given more time. If you have not seen Cool Runnings, I highly recommend it. But if you have seen it but haven't watched it in a while, I definitely recommend giving another rewatch, because it's, like I said, it's definitely a feel-good movie Watch the movie for how positive it is and the performances alone. And even though it's not that remarkable, but it still has a following, and rightfully so. And even though it's not that much of a remarkable film, it still has a following because of how positive and inspirational it is. I'm going to give Cool Runnings the thumbs up emoji.